Good morning, Year 3. So it's Wednesday, the 24th of February, and today we are carrying on learning and looking at persuasive texts. So your want for today is to recognise key features in non-fiction persuasive texts. So if you want to just quickly pause the video and write today's date and WALT. So a little bit of fun again. Yesterday we had a quick quiz, didn't we, where we had some film characters and you had to guess the film. Well, I'm sticking with that theme. So these are films again, but they are anagrams of films. So can you move the letters around to work out what film is being shown in each of the anagrams? So you've got 5. So see how many you can get out of 5. So the first one is okay, Niall thing. So what film could that be if you rearrange the letters? Then we've got Matt, ban, throat, Perry, stroll, and war, nod. So just for a little bit of fun, have a go, see if you can guess the films. So let's go through the answers. So okay, Niall thing, that's The Lion King. Matt, ban, Batman, Throat Perry, Harry Potter, stroll. I think this one was probably the easiest one. So if you rearrange the letters, you can spell out trolls. And then the last one, war nod, onward. I haven't actually watched that film. I'm not sure if that one's good, but I've watched the other ones. So hopefully you've got 5 out of 5, hopefully. But well done for just having a quick go. It's just a little bit of fun. So today's lesson then, we're carrying on with persuasive writing. So yesterday you had a go at your cold task, and thank you to those of you that sent in your persuasive letters to Mrs. Blanche. They were brilliant. So well done. And then hopefully at the end of the unit, when you have another go at writing a persuasive letter, you can improve and add in lots of the things that you're going to learn. So what's our writing target? I did share this with you yesterday, so who can remember what our writing target is for this unit? It is to draft and write by organising simple paragraphs around a theme. So paragraphs are going to be really important in our persuasive writing. So what do we mean by persuade? If you had to give a definition to somebody, what would you say it was? Persuade. So hopefully you remembered from yesterday that it's about believing you. So you want somebody to believe what you're saying. So when we persuade somebody, we are trying to make someone see our point of view. We're trying to make them believe us. And it might be that what we're saying isn't true. So we've got to work really hard to persuade them to think the same as us. So at the moment, are we experts at persuading? Probably not. It's quite a tricky thing to do. Okay, so we need to learn more about persuasive writing. So to do that, Dave is going to help us. So Dave thinks that he is an expert at persuasive texts, and he's chosen some texts for us to look at in today's lesson. And what we're going to do is we're going to try and unpick and identify why those texts are persuasive, what features have been used. And Dave has kindly given us something that might help us in today's lesson. So these are some features that Dave would like us to look out for. So these are persuasive features or techniques that are used when you are trying to persuade somebody. So here we've got persuader. So this is something that can help us remember all of those persuasive features. So the P stands for personal pronouns. So quite often in persuasive texts, the writer will use personal pronouns. And those are words like you, me, we, or us. So it's creating a bond with the reader. It's bringing us all together as one. So instead of saying lots of I's, they quite often say, we need to do something, or you must believe. So it's using personal pronouns. Then the E is emotive language. So these are words which create an emotional response in the reader, and we'll see if we can pick some examples of those in a minute. rhetorical questions. So these are questions that need no response. What they're trying to do is focus attention on a particular point. And again, we'll have a look at some of those in a second. The S is to, can't even say the word today, statistics and facts. So they are used to prove a point, and they could be made up. They don't have to be real, but they have to sound real. Then we've got U, which is using an authority figure. So that's including somebody who makes it sound more persuasive. So you could even make up a name, but if I said to you, the Prime Minister also agrees that, it makes you believe it more. So it's using somebody who might be very important to back up your argument. Then we've got an A, and this is really for alliteration. So we know what alliteration is, don't we? Okay, so it's when we start words with the same letter. So it's when we want to remember phrases and words. And also they've put in there an anecdote. Now this is a story that might be made up to back up your argument. So that's what the A stands for. Okay, and we'll find some examples of alliteration again in a second. D is description and imagery. So are they using powerful adjectives or metaphors or similes to really draw you into what they're saying, to make you believe them? Then we've got E for exaggeration. So this is to really exaggerate or emphasize your point. Okay, so it's going over the top, and that's quite often used in persuasive texts. Then we've got R, which is repetition or the rule of three. So that's when we repeat something, because actually the more we repeat something, the more it's going to stay in the reader's mind. And also the group of three just makes it really highlighted and emphasized. And we'll see some examples of that in a second as well. So these are the things that Dave wants us to try and look out for in the persuasive text. Okay, let's have a look at this one then. So this is an advert. So the marvelous, mighty monster truck. So this is an example of a persuasive advert. And I've highlighted things that I think are important and that make it really persuasive. And this is what you're going to do in the lesson today. You've got a different advert to look at. So let's just have a look at this one. Why have I highlighted marvelous, mighty, monster? What's that an example of? If we go back to here, because Dave has given us this to help us, hasn't he? What would that be an example of? Marvelous, mighty, monster. So hopefully you've identified that that would be an example of the rule of three. So saying three adjectives to describe the truck really makes it stand out. It's also an example of alliteration, as they've used marvelous, mighty, monster. Okay, so that's an example of a persuasive technique that they have used. This writer, the person who made this advert, hasn't just randomly picked those adjectives, marvelous and mighty. They've used them for effect. They've purposely chosen three words that contain or start with the same letter to have that alliteration and also that rule of three. Okay, let's have a look here. The mighty monster. What's that an example of again? So we've got repetition. We've already used mighty and monster, but they're using it again. So those words are going to stand out. They're going to stay with us. So I know this truck is mighty. It's really big. It's a monster. Okay, it really highlights just how big the truck is. What about this one then? It is like no other truck that has ever been seen before. What do we think that might be an example of? That's an example of exaggeration, because I'm pretty sure there probably have been trucks that are just as good as this truck, but the writer is really trying to emphasize and exaggerate that this truck is incredible. There's nothing like it. So it's that exaggeration. Okay, let's go down to here. So why have I highlighted the word you? It's everywhere you go. And I've highlighted it up here as well. Your toy. Why have I highlighted that? Can you think back to this list? Persuader. What's this an example of? So it's a personal pronoun, and it's already saying your toy collection, everywhere you go. It's almost assuming that this person is going to buy this truck because it's so good. So those personal pronouns just draw the reader in. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Breathtaking and remarkably responsive. Why are those words persuasive? Well, we've got some alliteration there again, remarkably responsive. Both words start with the same letter, an R, but also we've got some powerful adjectives. We're not just saying that the mighty monster truck has many features, we're saying that those features are breathtaking. So again, it's just really highlighting how good this truck is. It's persuading us to buy it by using those powerful adjectives. Best toy of 2021. What's that an example of? It's a fact. Is it true? Is that the best toy of 2021? I'm not sure. It depends who you're asking, doesn't it? Some people might think it is. Other people might think something else is better, but they're making it out to be a fact that it is the best toy of 2021. So that's a persuasive feature as well. Okay, let's have a look at this one. Children, are you fed up with your toys breaking? Are you looking for a new, fantastic, unbreakable monster truck? So what have we got there? Look at the punctuation at the end. They're questions. And if you remember from Dave's helpful hint here, rhetorical questions, that's what we call them. We don't expect the reader to actually answer that question, but it does make the reader think, am I fed up with my toys? Would I like a fantastic monster truck? Yes, I would. So it's really persuasive. It's getting the reader to think and answer those questions in their head. And that's a really good persuasive feature, rhetorical questions. So just on this one advert, there are lots and lots of persuasive techniques, persuasive features that are being used. Okay, this one's a letter. So it's still a persuasive text, but it's an example of a persuasive letter. And we're just going to see if we can pick out some persuasive features that have been used. And I'm going to use Dave's persuader, helpful hint over here to help me. So let's have a look. Can I see any rhetorical questions? See if you can spot any in the text. I'm just going to read it to you. Dear Mr. Wolf, I am writing to you as I have heard about the incident that happened last week surrounding Little Red Riding Hood. I am sure that by now you will have realised that the whole of Whitton Valley have heard about your escapade, and I just wanted to make you consider your actions. How would you feel if someone came to help you when you were needing support and they were devoured by someone? Maybe now is the time to consider it could be time to change. Would you not like to be the popular wolf who everyone supports and goes to when they need advice? Wouldn't you like to be the wolf who is known for being kind, caring and considerate? Further to this, I am sure that your parents would be exceptionally disappointed to hear about you eating Little Red Riding Hood and would be concerned about how you changed your behaviour to be so mean. It is never too late to change and become a better wolf, I promise you. So did you hear or can you find any rhetorical questions? So hopefully you can. I can spot some. So I'm just going to highlight them. So here. Would you not like to be the popular wolf who everyone supports and goes to when they need advice? Wouldn't you like to be the wolf who is known for being kind, caring and considerate? So 2 rhetorical questions are used there. That's really persuasive. They're trying to get the wolf to think about his actions. Okay, can I spot anything else that's persuasive? Let's have a little look. What else could we pick out? I'm going to pick out this word here. Further to this. I think that's quite persuasive. It's giving another reason, isn't it, why the wolf should change. And we call those connectives. And they're actually, they are adverbs, okay, because they connect what's happened before. So further to this, that word further, that connective, helps move the text on. It gives another reason why the wolf should change his actions. So I'm going to highlight that because I think that's persuasive. I'm also going to highlight this. Your parents would be exceptionally disappointed. Why do you think I've highlighted that? They haven't just said your parents would be disappointed, they've said exceptionally disappointed. So they're exaggerating that a little bit, aren't they? And they're also using a really powerful adjective to describe how the parents would be feeling. And maybe it's a little bit emotive too. Your parents would be exceptionally disappointed. They're pulling on the wolf's emotions. They're trying to make him feel almost guilty and sad that he's made his parents feel disappointed in him. So they're just a few persuasive features that I can pick out in that letter, but there will be lots more. And that's what you're going to do today. You've got an advert and a letter, and you are going to pick out, you're going to highlight aspects that make it persuasive. So what features are used that make you believe what the text is saying? Okay, so I just want you to highlight or colour all of the persuasive features, and if you can, label or explain why they are persuasive. And then at the end, once you've highlighted the letter and the advert, I want you to just bullet point, make a list of what you think should be included in a persuasive text. So all of the things that you think make a text persuasive. And I have got a list that I've come up with from looking at the same two texts that you're going to be looking at. So if you want to have a go and then come back, and you can check your bullet point list and see if you've got the same things that I found. So I found a few of these things in the two texts that you looked at and the text that we looked at together. So I've come up with a list, and some of these things are on the list that Dave gave us, but I've also added a few things that I thought were persuasive as well. So I've got powerful adjectives or imagery, emotive language, facts or statistics, a clear opinion, rhetorical questions, conjunctions, and it may be that you've noticed conjunctions like because, which are connectives, or you might have noticed conjunctions like secondly or firstly, which are adverbs. Repetition, paragraphs. I thought paragraphs were actually really important in the text, especially the letter, as it helped just to organize each of the persuasive points. Exaggeration, rule of three. Images, I thought some of the images were persuasive actually. When you've got a big image of the toy, it helps you want to buy it, doesn't it? And believe that it's a really good toy. So I thought images were persuasive. The bold text, because if it's in bold, it makes it stand out. So that's quite persuasive as well. The personal pronouns, and then mentioning personal experiences. So hopefully you came up with some of those on your bullet point list as well. So I hope you enjoyed looking at a few persuasive texts. And then tomorrow with Mrs. Dyer, you will be looking at another example of a persuasive piece of writing. Have a lovely day.